What's happening, sports fans? Welcome to the playoffs. I guess the playoffs have been going for a little bit now. I do want to give a quick shout out before we get going any further to the championships that happened this weekend with girls tennis. The team tennis championships all being decided. Canyon Crest retains their open division championship run. We're going to get, though, to football championships on this video. Before we get there, though, let's do a quick word from our sponsors, the U.S. Army. Guys, thank you again to the U.S. Army. Welcome back to the Division I episode. Mission Hills fans, we don't care about you. Helix fans, we don't care about you. Modern Day Catholic fans, we don't care about you. Cathedral Catholic fans, we don't care about you. Move on. We'll see you next week at next week's podcast. Congratulations on getting buys. This episode is about the rest of the field. Guys, Eastlake and Saints, always name brand wise feels like a decent playoff matchup, no matter how good or bad any of those teams are in a given season. We're going to get an entertaining Friday night. Who's going to come away with a dub? Let's start with you, Tommy Morris.
I think it'll be an entertaining game for sure. I like Saints here. They challenge themselves. They had a bunch of freshmen playing. I know we've heard the story a million times, but by the time these kids have all gotten to the end of the season, they're now like mentally sophomores. So they have improved more, I think, over the course of the season than any other team. So I like Saints here, and a team that's going to be dangerous for the next 4 years if they can keep all those kids together.
Bodie De Silva from Scorebook Live, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree here. I'm going to go with Saints, even though it's on the road. I think they've shown some times throughout the year that they can compete. Obviously, when they're young as they are, they're going to have those losses. Modern Day, Lincoln, Madison. I was able to see them against Helix, and really they were the better team for 3 quarters there. They couldn't seal the deal, which didn't surprise me, but I think at least in round 1 here, they'll be able to go and get a big first round win.
Next is number 5, El Camino playing host to number 12, Scripps Ranch. Starting with you, Bodie De Silva from Scorebook Live, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, El Camino has been really impressive. I thought they were going to work their way into getting a first round bye, but they didn't obviously finish the game 2 weeks ago against Mission Hills the way they wanted to. I think that could have had some playoff implications, possibly being an open division team, but it caused them to fall down. I think they'll handle Scripps here in the first round. El Camino's got a great defense, 3 really good running backs, and that would be a one to circle in round 2 with them and Helix. I think that would be a really fun game.
Tommy Morris, your thoughts?
Yeah, Scripps had a tough year. They had to go up a division. Up a league. Lose your quarterback first game, not an ideal situation. But I like El Camino also. There was a real chance that they were going to be an open division team about 2 weeks ago. So it's not like they got any worse. This is still a very good team in Division I, and a chance that has every team that has the chance to win this thing, even as a 5 seed. So I like El Camino here in the first round.
Can I point out that I don't want to speak ill of Oceanside, but it's just a statistically anomalously out of character bad year for Oceanside, and them going winless is really hard to watch.
Odd.
As a former blue blood program. But if you zoom out a little bit, it's not like the talent disappeared from that neighborhood, because this would be the 3rd time in 6 years that Michael Hobbs has won a championship at El Camino and is in the open division conversation now and all of that kind of stuff. Like, the talent is still up in that area and in that community up in the North County. And I think that, somehow low key, this El Camino run has not necessarily gotten a ton of brand name recognition. So shout out to Michael Hobbs and that coaching staff for being back in a position again to be considered a really viable playoff team. Our next matchup that we got, Steel Canyon is traveling to go take on LCC. La Costa Canyon, a coin toss away, a fumble, or whatever away from potentially beating El Camino. They're right on their heels. They're another team that's really, really good and could potentially make a nice deep run into this. Steel Canyon has a running back, and having a running back is always a blessing in the playoffs because you can potentially break one off. Tommy Morris, let's start with you.
Yeah, they have a major running back, Major Givens. I think someone crazy. This is off the top of my head. I think he had like 400 yards last week or something crazy like that. So
454.
454. That is quite the number there. It's a full season for most people. I think that first of all, that's not going to happen again in this game. But I think that when you have a guy like that, you always have a chance. I do like Lacoste Canyon here. They've played a tough schedule. They played it competitively. Steele's had some lulls, sort of as their season's gone on. Hasn't been as consistently good as Lacoste Canyon. So I like LCC to advance here and take on Mater Dei.
I thought it was a major given that if you had 455, you win every game. But
yeah, it's pretty good. It's a good strategy, actually. Just have your running back run for 459 yards.
Bodie,
Genius.
Scorebook Live, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I like Lacoste as well. Obviously, Major Givens can break it at any time, but in the times I've seen Lacoste this year, they've shown that they're very good against stopping the run, and that's something that against Steele, if you can do that, that's probably a good way to win the game. The thing I'll add with Lacoste, I saw them beat the top seed in this bracket, Mission Hills, in person earlier in this year. So kind of like what we said with El Camino, Lacoste is a team definitely not on the easier side of the bracket because Mater Dei Catholic seems to be playing their best ball right now. But Lacoste is a team that could certainly make a run and wouldn't surprise me as they go along.
Our last Division I game to talk about is number 7 Torrey Pines playing host to number 10 Rancho Bernardo. Torrey Pines would probably, I'm assuming, be the number 2 team behind Saints in terms of growing pains early this season, and not being the same team now that they were weeks 1 through 3 because of some baptism by fire happening. And so they've taken a couple L's, but they're also still playing really good football at the end of the season. If they beat RB, they can move on to a great rivalry game that always brings out the hype and everything. Like, you could potentially make a case for Torrey Pines being a nice low seed that makes their way through this bracket. RB, always dangerous maybe in the playoffs. You never know what's going to happen with something like that. Let's start with you, Tommy Morris. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, they played each other 2 months ago and Torrey Pines won 35-0. So that tells you something there. But I also want to add, I don't know who did this, but it is kind of, it is either a hilarious troll or it's an accident. But if you go on Torrey Pines' schedule online, they already have Cathedral Catholic scheduled after this week. So
I did notice that.
I don't know if that's an accident.
Wait. We got to put that on the poll at SD Prep Insider on Twitter, on Instagram. Is it a ballsy move to put your next playoff game on your Max Preps before your first playoff game?
I've not seen that before, but again, it could just be an accident. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It's probably an accident, but it is kind of funny. I do think that's what will happen, though. I think that we'll win. I think it'll be closer than 35-0, but I think Torrey Pines wins this.
Bodie De Silva, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be 35-0 because if you look at Rancho Bernardo after that game, they've won what, 5 out of 7 since then. They made a good run in league play, obviously lost to Poway there in the championship. So I think it's shown some signs that Rancho Bernardo has definitely improved since the early of the year. I think gotten a little healthier there, but I still expect Torrey Pines to hold their own at home and advance there. So yeah, I think Saints is the one lower seed in this bracket that I like to win in round 1, and I think we're pretty much in agreement on that.